Hello there, my lovely Madison High School students, and welcome to week 8, which we are at the midpoint. And I'm so excited for us to start coming to kind of our midpoint in our check in and seeing how everybody's feeling about the next couple of weeks. Um, I just released your editorial grade the last night, and so I sent you a message to kind of give you an idea of what I noticed in those drafts. And so it would give you a chance to really start looking into like if you wanted to revise it. Since I did a very poor job of giving you first draft feedback, which was my fault, I made sure to make note if you had a first draft as it appeared so that you would know what to do for your revision. And so there were several people, about half I think, that had really strong, solid pieces, good articulation of sources, and solid analysis. And then there were about half that were still kind of in rough shape. Um, there's a variety of like AI use, but also just like the bones of the assignment that just needed me more fleshed out. So if you were one of the people that I told in the comments to revise, and if you feel like you need more direction on the revision, just reach out to me. I'm going to be after this video. I'm going to go through and start clearing up some late work, and then also making sure all the grades are up to date from last week or so. So, on that note, I wanted to kind of start jumping into this week. It is a light week since you had your editorial, and then last week you had the reading response. This week is going to be a little bit lighter because it's the midway point. Give us some time to like think, process, reflect, uh, and read some really good, solid work. So this week we're going to be focusing in on our confessional poets. So we're going to have our white confessional poets, like we've got our Sylvia Plath, and we've got our Anne Sexton and Gwendolyn Brooks. And then we also have right here, we've also got Lady Lazarus as our annotation exercise, which I'm loving what you guys are coming up with your annotations thus far. What I want to make sure is clear before I go into the next phase of writing is your annotation on Lady Lazarus, which is one of Sylvia Plath's better known poems. And then we've got a mosaic on Beat Poets, Southern Gothic, and Feminist writers. So we have done these before, but the difference with this one is we are only going to do a visual mosaic, and we are not going to do a reflection. This is a formative task and not a core task. So you do not have to write anything for this particular task. Instead, I'm really looking for visuals on this. And so it's similar to what we did before, but the big difference here is that you're focusing in on power of like female Gothic, and then the idea of like what are these women communicating about, like confessional poetry, darkness, all of that. So I'm seeing that there are some really good ones thus far. So Briley's already got one on here that's really interesting. And then we've also got Colton's on here. And so go ahead and start tasking that and like putting your ideas together as you are piecing everything together. But focus in on Plath, Sexton, the confessional poets, and also where they intersect with some of our Southern Gothic writers from last week. All right, so that is our agenda for the week. I think, the Midpoint Conference. This one is where I want to have a conference-ish, because I know that you're asynchronous, with you to talk to you about your ideas regarding where you are in the class, where you want to be, what is a difficulty for you, where do you feel like you need the most attention, so that I can help direct the class as we move forward. I know that several of you, have been flagged for AI use, and so if that's something that is bothering you, or if you feel like you would like to touch base about what that looks like make sure that you reach out to me so that you know exactly like what we need to do to work on to get you where you want to be for the class. So we've got this conference sheet here, and so I want you to review your work first, and then a written reflection. Um, I have goals for the semester here. I would like to have a chance to meet with some of you, and we'll see how much time we have available. But if I have a chance to meet with you, I would really like to do that so that we get a chance to check in and touch base. We'll at least do that before the end of the year. But you can think of this as like a digital conference, and then if we need to touch base about something else, we absolutely can. Right. So as we're going into this week, um, these are the pieces that we're going to be looking at. So we're going to be focusing on the Mad Poet Society and then our confessional female writers. So the first one that we're going to start with is going to be our lovely Sylvia Plath. And so if you have never studied Sylvia Plath, she is one of the most prominent figures in regards to confessional poetry. Uh, she's very well known for it. However, she has some problematic aspects of cultural appropriation in her work. So she does like have derogatory phrases surrounding Black people, people of color, and then also Jewish folks in Lady Lazarus. And so I'm interested to see how your conversations surface regarding that. She also explored a lot of father-daughter themes, and so she's a proponent of confessional poetry, which is a type of poetry where you bring the inside and you lay it outside bare, and it's where people can see like the innermost part of who you are as a person in a way that's like a little bit intimate. This is one of my favorite pieces by Sylvia Plath. This is Metaphors. A riddle in 9 syllables, an elephant, a ponderous house, a melon strolling on 2 tendrils, oh red fruit, ivory, fine timbers. This loaf's big with its yeasty rising, money's new minted in this fat purse. I'm a means, a stage, a cow and calf. I've eaten a bag of green apples, boarded the train, there's no getting off. And this piece is specifically about her pregnancy, but it's just clever, and that's why I enjoy it so much. And so you'll see in your annotation of Lady Lazarus, she starts with, I have done it again, 1 year in every 10 I manage it. And warning, this is about suicidal ideation. And so she's talking about like her suicide attempts, which she then succeeded at age when she was in 1963. But she says, a sort of walking miracle, my skin bright as a Nazi lampshade, my right foot a fine, featureless, fine June linen. And so she is not Jewish, which is part of the reason why it can be a problematic approach, right? So as you're discussing it, really think about like whether or not that takes away from the poem or if it has other meanings that we can pull from. Her best friend was Anne Sexton, who was a pioneer of confessional poetry. And so she has a poem that you're reading called For Sylvia. And so she also deals with death and mental illness and dark humor and female identity. And so she and Sylvia Plath were both like very obsessed with death and like what death would bring. And so when she says for Sylvia, she says, Sylvia, Sylvia, with a dead box of stones and spoons, with 2 children, 2 meteors, wandering loose in the tiny playroom, with your mouth into the sheet with the roof beam and the dumb prayer of Sylvia, Sylvia, where did you go after you wrote from Devonshire about the raising potatoes and keeping bees? What did you stand by? Just how did you lie down into? Thief. How did you crawl into, down alone into the death I wanted so badly and for so long? The death we said we both outgrew, the one we wore on our skinny breasts. So Adrienne Rich is another confessional poet. She blended personal experience with broader political themes, and so she has more of the intellectual rigor of very broad feminist overtones in her works. And so Diving into the Wreck is one of my favorites of hers. So when you're looking at these confessional poets, think about like direct and conversational, which is Sexton, but then Plath has like the intense imagery and exploration of the inner psyche, while Rich blends the two, and she has an emphasis on the social issues here. Okay, And then, because we cannot have our confessional poets without Sonia Sanchez, um, she is also a well-known confessional poet, and she was a key figure in the Black arts movement. And so she focuses on intergenerational connections, and her confessional poetry is about activism. So you'll notice that some of her work is about writing out a scream and addressing historical and contemporary injustices in the world through her confessional ways. She wrote a really beautiful poem called For Tupac Amaru Shakur, which is an exploration of memory and what we hold dear. And she also has a piece called Honoring Gwendolyn Brooks, which is a Black poet of the 50s as well. And I don't think that we're reading Audre Lorde this week. So, all right. So on that note, I think that that's it for this presentation. Okay. So on that note, I look forward to seeing what beautiful images that y'all come up with. Reach out to me if you've got questions about your editorial, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.